Okay, let's dive right in. We're looking at some really profound source material today. Comes out of XTL meditation, deep philosophical stuff.
That's right. And our mission really is to explore what these texts say about self, about reality, even consciousness itself.
And it starts with a bang, doesn't it? Straight away challenging our basic assumptions, calling identity the self, a kind of fiction.
Or an outward show, yeah. The
Yeah.
sources are pretty blunt about it.
So the things we often define ourselves by roles, jobs, how people see us.
Ultimately worthless things is the term used, suggesting the real self, the core I, is somehow hidden. It lurks beyond all that surface stuff.
It feels like a major clearing out, mentally speaking, like everything you put on your resume. Maybe not the point.
Exactly. And interestingly, the body gets similar treatment. If the self is sort of arbitrary, then the physical body is too.
How so? What do they say about the body?
Well, get this. It's described as being nowhere.
Nowhere.
Yeah. An arbitrary appropriation of space. And even more radically, a form of solidified thought.
Solidified thought. Okay. That requires some unpacking, so not just biological machinery.
Apparently not just that. It suggests consciousness or thought actually gives it form, an invisible concept first.
Which leads to this idea of two bodies coexisting.
Mm-hmm. The body of flesh, which is temporary, subject to death, obviously, and the body of light.
And the body of light takes precedence.
If you have to choose, yes, because it's seen as the non-mortal template. The flesh is derived from it in this view.
Okay, so if the body is nowhere and a product of thought, where is thought itself located? Does it pin that down?
It actually says thought is also located nowhere, or at least nowhere we can describe spatially.
So the brain.
The connection is described as purely mechanical, like the brain is a receiver, maybe, picking up the signal of thought but not creating it.
That's a powerful analogy. It separates the process from the mechanism.
Right. And they note thought has properties like light, and we only measure its effects, the actions, the ideas, not the thought itself.
Which I guess leads us nicely into perception, particularly altered states.
Exactly. If thought is like light, maybe we perceive other non-physical things. The texts focus heavily on these hypnagogic figures.
Ah, the figures seen between waking and sleeping.
Yes. And crucially, they aren't random flickers. They arise from a specific practice, a kind of meditation and letting go.
And they have a function, not just sleep signals.
Described as guides. They help transition between different states of consciousness, possessing immaterial substance.
Immaterial substance. And their clarity depends on the person observing.
On the skill of the seer, yes. Your focus brings them into sharper relief, apparently.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting for me. The idea they gain objective existence.
It is fascinating, isn't it? They shift from purely subjective images to something particular.
Right.
Because they have consistent characteristics, they gain a measure of objective existence.
Like data points in another reality.
Sort of, yeah. And they signify, the sources say, the limitations of flesh and the inefficacy of prisons, suggesting a reality beyond the physical.
And the overall feeling is positive, comforting.
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
There's this idea of an underlying positive tendency to the whole process. Even if unsettling things pop up, you can influence it.
It suggests the flow has its own constructive purpose.
And your inner state determines how you engage with it.
Right. So, okay, pulling this all together. Self is fiction, body is thought, these objective-ish figures. What's the final takeaway for, everyday life? You mentioned the cross of light temple realization.
Ah, yes. That's essentially achieving non-duality.
Yeah.
It's when your inner reality, the one you consciously focus on and commit to,
It was the only reality.
it becomes the urgent, all-filling reality.
Yeah.
The distinction between inner and outer just dissolves. You're just in that state.
So if the outside world feels wrong...
It might mean you aren't truly centered in that inner reality. The advice seems to be align your environment with your inner commitment, if needed.
Wow. Okay, so here's a final thought to leave you with. If those hypnagogic figures gain a kind of objective reality based purely on the seer's focus and skill, what does that imply about the things you choose to focus on, day in, day out, your intentions, your concepts? What objective reality might they be building?
That's definitely something to ponder. A very different way to think about shaping your world.